Welcome to the daily. It is October 3rd, 2013. This is Day 9 Daily number 639, where we learn to be a better gamer, isn't it? And the topic today is oh so tantalizing and titillating indeed. In this daily, we're going to watch a fellow by the name of Apocalypse not go biomine for the entire TvZ game. Come again? I couldn't help it. Such an excellent, suave little mix that I'm kind of lying because it involves biomine at the start, but it doesn't stay in biomine the entire time. Transitions into this unusual thor+hellbat mix. We'll sort of see how that influences what he's doing, how he goes into it. Yeah, people saying hellbats. Hellbats? What the hellbats? Hellbats? Wait, no mines? What? He's going to use a little bit of mine there. But again, he's going to transition into thor+hellbat with the big bulk of his bioforce. That's going to give him a lot of versatility to be very aggressive. Allows him to get fourth bases up a little more easily. So, we're going to be going through it. It sounds a lot simpler than I'm making it. There will be a lot of subtlety in terms of how he's spending his money, how he's going into things, what he's using the mines for, and that sort of thing. And that's why it's going to be a daily. Sacred Sun says they should combine the Thor and the Hellbat into the Hell Thor. Or the Thor-bat. That's great. It's really grand. Also, is anyone else excited? Tomorrow, two amazing things happen. League of Legends Worlds and Gravity comes out. What the what? Let's hop into the game. This is a game from WCS. We got Suppy versus Apocalypse. We have no sound. Let's go ahead and put that sound on and get ready to rock and roll. We're going to watch it largely from Apocalypse's point of view, while occasionally popping into Suppy, so we can see in order WTF is going on. First and foremost, we're going to be talking about how Apocalypse is going to be doing his opening and how he's going to be transitioning into the mid-game. And then we're going to see what weird things Apocalypse is doing in the mid-game that might be a little bit more opaque to the average eye. And then we're going to admire this Thor+hellbat mixture. And then after that, we'll see a second game where things don't go so well for Apocalypse, but we're also going to see how truly far he is willing to go into this meching realm. Alright, now first, Apocalypse is opening up with the Reaper play, but let's not talk about what the Reaper does. Let's talk about this in the context of the mid-game, shall we? Of course we shall. This is my show. So, when you're opening up for a gassy mixture, there must, of course, be a gassy follow-up, because we've invested so much in getting the gas early. Let's use it. Almost certainly going to be the very swift and schwanky Flactoey. Walling things off, pretty much to be expected. Don't want to spend too long on the Ultra opening stage looking at the Terrans build. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the Zerg threats while we're just witnessing the opening. Obviously big all-ins, but Zerg really ramps up just after the 10-minute mark. Tends to be around 12 when the Zerg is in the full swing of things. Zerg will have 1-1 upgrades for Zerglings. We'll have this third established. We'll have a macro hatch generally over here somewhere in the main base. And we'll be gearing up to get a fourth. Lots of Mutalisks, lots of Lings, a smattering of Banelings to stay alive. Very typical stuff. So we have to be aware of a couple of things that we didn't used to have to be aware of for later on. If we're pulling away from biomine, how are we going to keep the Zerg off our own base? Typically, with biomine, the reason the Mutalisk can't attack us is because we're attacking him. Ooh. So while all this is going on, we want to be thinking about how he's going to transition into the mid-game to deal with all the threats. We're also going to be asking ourselves a question. Mr. Apocalypse, how are you going to prevent yourself from dying to good old Attack of the Mutas? Protoss players are like, I want to know how to deal with that. Don't worry, we won't cover it in today's daily at all. Why wouldn't I worry in that? How does that help? How does it help? It doesn't help. Take that, Protoss players. Alright, so Apocalypse is doing stuff that we know. Alright, we know, damn it. He gets his factory, he gets Hellions. Jeez. These Reapers are doing some damage, but we better keep them alive. I can spend time over here because there's nothing noteworthy going on. Pretty much anywhere else. Ah. Oh, crap. I thought that said 508. I'm such a dirtily dummy. Alright. 5-minute mark. We do have some things that we want to begin checking out. So this is traditional. This is typical. This is expected. This is expectable. This is a spectacle. Right as the factory finishes, we give it to the Hellions. We know that. We know this. But an instant starport. If you will recall, quite a while, not quite a while back, maybe 2 weeks back, we did a daily of Pult doing this exact kind of opening. And utilizing Viking, Medevac to do all sorts of other cool stuff. Let's see what else is going on in Apocalypse's economy. He's throwing a refinery down, same time as he gets the starport up. As to be expected, a lot of gassy things get built out of this. We want to do a lot of other gassy things, like get our stim up. So let's get gassy. Let's eat some gummy bears Perrier with nachos, because it's time to get gassy. We see some rather expected things. Hellions being produced, and all this, that, and the other. We see, oh, possibility for stim getting started, but Viking begins, just as we saw Pult do. And then subsequently we can get Stimme. Stimme, Stimmy, Stimme. Come on. This will happen eventually, I swear to God. I'm going to hit the plus button until it does. Okay, there we go. So, if we look at this formation, we see that this is pretty standard. 4 Hellions. We also have seen from Pult that this can be a pretty standard maneuver, going for the Viking. Some things that are a little bit less standard, mines being produced immediately after the Hellions are done. We also see that the Hellions have stayed surprisingly far back. The Reapers are checking, are scouting everything. The Hellions are sort of aware. What do we really need to keep delaying? I mean, Zerg hasn't taken the 3rd yet, so we're not going to be real focused on that. So, I mean, Zerg could be very well going for an all-in. I think this is a smart maneuver. I think it could help to have this Reaper closer to here. Safety Marauders being made, Medevac being produced, more mines coming out. Hellions move out just as the mines arrive. Very cautious play coming out of Apocalypse. This, I think, is perhaps one of the more interesting elements. We see a lot of players get this bunker very, very early. Apocalypse is avoiding this for 2 reasons. For one, it allows him to accelerate his build. It allows him to get this command center out a little earlier, the starport out a little earlier, all these units coming out a little bit earlier. As a result, he's keeping these Hellions a little bit far back for the time being. But one of the biggest reasons why he is avoiding the bunker is that he built these Reapers early on, and his read tells him, aha, not too much threat of death. So I don't desperately need a bunker right away. This is to be expected. Engineering Bay is following everything up. Medevac's coming out. Why? Well, we built the mines to be able to withstand an all-in, which is a very reasonable thing to expect. We don't see anything over here. He could be taking a 3rd here, but it's unlikely. So if I'm in Apocalypse's shoes, I'm thinking, oh man, he could be killing me. I better get these mines early. And then all of a sudden, we don't have an attack. These Hellions are still in a really defensive position for the same reason as before. So what the heck? He's building the mines to stay alive for the all-in. When it doesn't come, he builds the medevacs, so that way he can be aggressive with the mines. It's really cool. We talked about this a lot in that Pult Daily. How great it is to build tools for defense, and then when there's no attack, you explode into the offense with those exact same tools. Everything else is kind of to be expected, going up to 5 racks, 3rd command center, No gas geysers until everything else is built. And the Hellions, when do they move out? Only when the bunker's done and we got a lot of infrastructure going, and most importantly, now that the medevac is getting up into the main. Still seeing the Viking moving around. So this is a little bit of an unusual setup, but not that unusual. It's pretty expectable, given that Pult's been popularizing it quite a bit.
Your forces are under attack.
So this part hurts. This part I'm not that super fascinated by, because he's going biomine. And I know I said that he wasn't going to do biomine, but he truly is not going to do it all game long. He's only doing it for just a little bit. Another thing that's very cool, that medevac that went up here. Oh, I couldn't do damage with the drop. So he lands the Widow Mines up where his Hellions are. These mines are being very nice, very aggressive. Even the Mutalisks get punished. Some pretty expected turrets being constructed in every which way. So what I want to look at now is this statement that I made at the start of the daily. And we're going to think about how this position right here at 11... No, let's stop it at 11:11. Ooh, what a symbolic time. Oh shit, I missed the button. Fine, 11:15, another round number. What's going to be going down? So what does biomine gain us? Biomine gains us the ability to be very aggressive against these bases. We're generally not going to be up against a player like Suppy, who's actually gone for extremely fast Mutalisks. It's quite uncommon. However, we're still seeing Suppy wiggle his way back into the 1-1 upgrades, the third base with the geysers up and running, macro hatch will likely be started. All these tools that every Zerg goes for, we're going to see Suppy go for. And Apocalypse is going to begin the push. But we already said he's going to be transitioning into a thor+hellbat composition. What are the hints that he's going to be doing that? A lot of it will begin with the unbelievably late armory that we haven't seen yet. This kind of made me want to just chortle and raffle and guffaw and all that sort of stuff. So Apocalypse has to stay a little bit defensive.
Research complete.
Normally, in Apocalypse's shoes, we can begin to push out like right away because the Zerg doesn't quite have mutas yet. This is normally right around the time when the mutas are coming out, so we're gathering our forces and we're doing the big shove. Not in this circumstance. So this push like that, ooh. This push, this drop, is going to distract the mutas so that then this push can begin. Very simple, but pretty much universally effective tactical play. Alright, we see the forces up here. Push with the army! Yeah! Second factory is being constructed. Show me the factory. There it is. Second factory is being constructed, hinting that there will soon be mass mine production. When I was watching this game, I was like, yeah, same thing, uninteresting potatoes. But we see literally just some mines. Here's a mine. Actually, all the mines are in pretty defensive positions. The instant the armory's done and 2-2 have begun, it's going straight for Hellbats. We're actually seeing Marauders get thrown into the composition. In a minute, we're even going to see armor get researched here. Actually, maybe in like 15 seconds or so. So, while traditional biomine would be emphasizing nothing but Marines, we're even seeing Tech Lab get thrown down early. It's a pretty swift transition away from biomine. So what I want to do now is just state he's adding on more barracks, he's going to be getting more Hellbat. Soon enough, this is going to be a Thor factory. He's also going to be getting some upgrades. But let's look at what's going down in Suppy's side of things. Suppy going for the 4th. Has an operational third. He's getting the 1-1 done and done. He's getting burrow, baneling speed, hatch, all that business. Let's look at how production-wise Suppy's going to be likely to answer. He's still spreading creep and all that stuff. Got to make sure that we don't get too many banelings for this. We want to make sure that we have Mutalisks that can intelligently pick off mines. We will need a lot of banelings for this force. I'm not going to lie, I think this is far too few. This winds up being pretty straightforward to kill. But many people certainly will go, oh my gosh, the big push is coming. I have to get all my banelings up. Sort of further seeing, alright, Suppy's gathering his forces. He's flooding with more and more and more lings. Lings are actually one of the big killers of this force. We use the Mutalisks to pick off the mines. We use a couple of banelings to break through, but we really need a lot of the Zerglings with the big upgrades to be the big damage dealer, because all our gas is being dumped into this remaining set of Thangs. And the gas will be going all up into the Mutas. What we're actually seeing out of Apocalypse is nothing. He hasn't even begun to push. This has been a huge flood of banelings. And from Apocalypse's point of view, he's happy to just be like, alright, well, I'm not going to engage. It seems reasonable. This is a force that dies consistently to mass baneling. But doesn't even really need to commit. He can just do these little pushes, see what's up. He spots the banelings up there, just picks off some creep, and then runs right back away. So, when we're going for this Hellbat force, immediately we are going to be weaker against air. Mines are super duper good against Mutalisks, so we just need something to replace that. And this is what's awesome. We get the Thor. Very straightforward tool. And then we have the Hellbats and the Marauders. Wow, I can't believe I couldn't retrieve that word. Hellbats and Marauders are going to be absorbing a lot of the baneling damage at the front in the way that mines traditionally would. But note the way that most Zerg players are answering this, which tends to be getting more on the Mutalisk side, less on the baneling side. So the Thor Marine combo is amazing against that Mutalisk force. And without that many banelings, the Hellbats are going to be left to deal massive damage to the Zerglings. It's just a generally strong composition that's hard to get to because you need some way to apply pressure. Hellbat Thor tends to be really slow, not just to get started, but like physically slow. So we see that this push that Apocalypse did early, he used the mines to provide the threat, to force the answer, because there's really zero way that Suppy can identify this properly in almost all circumstances. So this force regathers back together.
Base is under attack.
And from there, we see the expected result. If there's no push, what will happen? The Mutalisks will begin to be more aggressive. Way too early standby Apocalypse. Whoa, man. This is why we like the Thor. They're going to be the big anchor in the force, rather than the mines. So, this is a move that I think is quite subtle, but super awesome. Almost always, what does a biomine player do? Attacks like freaking crazy, does non-stop attacking. Yet in this circumstance, it's been very passive. And sure, you could say, oh, well, the banelings are going to be able to easily clean up everything. The Zergling Muta numbers are going to be too high. But Zergling Muta Baneling does not really operate amazingly well in these maxed army compositions, especially when the Hellbats can be part of the spread to do so much damage to the Zerglings. This winds up being a super mobile force in the same way that biomine, actually even more mobile than the usual biomine force. And we sort of see that, wow, after that exchange, what's the situation that's happening? I mean, the Mutalisks are going to have to pull back because our single Thor just arrived. all the banelings have just died, so there's rarely going to be that huge number of banelings. And look at Suppy's money. It's very hard to replenish properly once it's the 2/2 force. Kind of exploits the fact that so many Zergs are just going Massling Baneling. Mutalisk. Alright, so all the Marines coming up. Continues to be super aggressive, and I mean, Marauders to pick off these Banelings, I mean, it's much more predictable how this is going to go out. Now, if this were mines, you wouldn't quite have the clarity on the Banelings as to whether they would hit and connect really well. The Mutalisks are what wound up doing the damage in this fight, but the Banelings are a hell of a lot more predictable. Hell of a lot more deal-withable with a Hellbat Marauder force. It's very easy for a mine to go off and just biff, and then, okay, then the Banelings are going to be able to roll in. And as we see, even though that's a lot of Mutalisks, it's just Mutalisks. And so the push continues. So we see not a lot of Banelings. Sort of went through that initial round. I really hope we start seeing more tanks. Banelings doing, again, a lot more predictable of things. And this is... that's pretty one-sided. I'm actually going to come back to just before... And we'll finish with this battle here. We see Apocalypse. Actually, I'll come back to just before the battle so we can sort of look at the supplies. Proof by supplies. Was that after the attack panned out? Again, the Banelings, you'll see them do not that much damage. Just nailed some Marines in the middle. Mutalisks don't have as much opportunity to snipe stuff off like they do against biomine. Not just because of the Marines, but also in particular because of the Thor. So very even right now. Speed up, speed up, speed up, speed up. Generally good macro buy, Sir Apocalypse. Yeah, so good. Well, let's do the battle in some phases. Well, it's just such fancy spreading. I don't think there's anything too amazing about the spreading that really takes note. It's just a spread. The Thors are nearby wherever the Mutalisks are. I mean, if Mutalisks were up here, we'd put the Thor at the front. Thors generally want to be at the front because they can absorb all that damage. So, alright, first let's look at this half of things. Let's look at what goes down here with this pack of Banelings. The Hellbats are pretty, I mean, not great micro there, but we also see not great gains from, for Suppy. Because obviously the Banelings are doing the bonus damage to the light. And, I mean, technically, Hellbats are light. Because it says it right there. But it takes a lot of Banelings to kill one. I mean, Banelings do a little over 40 damage now. Which means 3 of them can't quite kill off a Hellbat. They can't quite, even with the +2. 129 damage. So, this collision right here to kill off this guy already has reduced the Baneling numbers. Actually, I just want to select these ones here. Down to 6. So we can see that that one Hellbat is being a real boss there. And then we are going to pull back. We're going to look at this other front where things are rolling in. We're going to see what sort of went down there. Mutalisks already getting to do some nice damage. These types of surrounds are, excuse me, clicking the wrong unit. These types of surrounds are generally really good against biomine. You're going to approximately know where the mines are, but especially in this circumstance, it's hard to get really clean, good gains because there's Hellbats mixed into the force. So they'll wander up, and then the cone damage of the Hellbats will be doing a lot of pain. And then soon enough, it's Mutas versus the Marines, Hellbats versus the Zerglings. In a clearly big game. And I like the Marauders just because they're great at picking off buildings and they're great at just being dudes at the front. We don't have to wait for anything now. Just like the slightest of edges, and it's just go, 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 go. Yeah. So when we come back, we're going to finish out that game. And then we're going to watch another game where things don't go so well for Apocalypse. That's the end of part 1. Yeah. Yeah. On a break.